Hi everyone, my name is Mélohé and this is my first YouTube video. I'm French and I moved to Ontario, Canada almost 4 years ago in the nice city of Kingston. And today I'm going to paint the Kingston's waterfront using a limited color palette. I started with a loose sketch using a FaberCastel watercolor pencil in dark red color. As you can see on the left side of the page, I already painted some little landscape of Kingston. I followed the advice of the amazing Jess Carp, which is one of my favorite artists here on YouTube. And I use only 3 colors to make the palette that I will be using in this painting. So a little word about me, because I'm all new on YouTube. I started my art journey when I arrived here, but I always been creative. I always loved to draw, paint, and sing, play music, saw, DIY, whatever, anything creative, but basically I was here for it. But I really took painting and drawing seriously when I got here. I love to experiment, so I'm not stuck to one medium. I love trying new techniques, but today I will focus on gouache. So when I met people, they asked me why I chose Kingston in the first place, but I didn't. So 4 years ago, I finished university in Tours, France, and my partner and I were looking for a place abroad to teach French because that was our master degree, Master FLE, if any French are out there. And Canada, in our head at least, felt out of reach because it was such a dream destination for a lot of French people. And we were looking more into Europe, especially in Northern Europe anyway, so it was not our first destination. But one of our colleagues at the time got hired and was promoting other French teacher position in Ontario, and Kingston was one of the places. So we took a shot and got accepted. And so far so good. So art was not the main focus of my study at all. I am a self-taught artist. I watch a lot of artists on YouTube, and I discovered that most of the artists that I was following were in Canada. So maybe it was a sign, I don't know. Kingston is one of the medium-sized towns that a lot of Canadians find pleasing to live in because of its location. It's just in the middle of Toronto and Montreal alongside the lake, so it's very, very nice during the summer. So I decided to paint the waterfront with one of the Martello Tower, which is one of the historic emblems of Kingston. They were built by the British between the 18th and the 19th century as a defensive military installation against the French. A little bit of history on that channel. Here is the photo reference I used. I think I spent maybe 10 to 15 minutes on the sketch, which I found okay. I try not to spend too much time on the sketching part just because most of it will be covered anyway, and the most interesting part is the painting. It's funny because, by the way, it's not my approach at all for portrait painting. Maybe I could show you more of my process for portrait in the next video. Okay, let's grab some tools. I took some clean water brushes. I think I ended up using only 2 for this painting. And I used the Himi gouache palette. I used the color Ponceau red, pale green, and violet. Why those colors, you may ask? I made a lot of research on Kingston before doing this painting. I searched a lot of photos that people took and posted, and the color that I could see the most to me was green, red, and purple. So I wondered how that could be translated in a full painting, and that's where I remembered Jess Carp's video about using a limited color palette. So I gave it a shot, and I'm so happy I did because the mood of the painting is everything I was looking for. I started with a wet on wet technique for the sky with some violet at the top and some red at the bottom. And I really watered down the paint. The palette gave me some sunset/sunrise mood, so I tried to keep that intention and that ambiance in mind when I was painting. For any landscapes, I don't have any plan per se, but I try to finish with the details. But overall, I try to always have an overview of my painting. So the first thing that I always do is put all the obvious color that I have in front of me or that I see. And from that, I can build up the values, the saturation, and then finish with the details. So here, my obvious colors were the tower, of course, the actual tower, the roof, and a little bit of the windows as well on the tower, if we can call them windows, I don't know. the chair, the famous red Canadian chair, the exterior red chair, the lamps, and the branch also that frames the painting pretty well, I found, and the grass at the foreground. I also put a little bit of color in the port, the marina, just so I can work from here to build my values afterwards. So here, as you can see, I started adding some more saturation and some values to the chair, and that's also where I started adding texture on the tower. So I added the stone texture on the tower and also some more texture on the chair. I also added the shadow on the chair, still using my 3 colors that I started with. Then I added the leaves on the tree, which I loved doing because that's where I started to zone out a little. You know, that time during a painting when you don't really think. I feel like that's the moment where I enjoyed the fact of being focused. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, but I love it. But anyway, I continued adding contrast. So here you can see that I added more violet, so more saturation at the top. And I added details, again, not in a particular order. I just try to render things until I'm happy with the result. One thing that I added, because I loved it on the smaller painting on the left, is the bright red that I added on the main element, like if the light of the sunrise was hitting those elements. And I finished by adding some grass, always keeping in mind the contrast and the lights, and that's where I felt like I was done. Here is the final product with the full spread in my sketchbook. Hope you liked the video. I'm looking forward to share this journey on YouTube. And if you have any recommendations, questions, comments, please send me in the comments down below. Interact with this video as much as possible and see you in the next one. À bientôt!